Okay, and we're back. Rubber's about to meet the road. I said we're going to do this, the big, giant, super thick one, to make sure when it's a 2Dified thing. When it's not a 2Dified thing, and we just want it to be about the same, I'm just going to tell you right now, it tends to be double that. And I'll make it a wee bit more. So it tends to be like that. Um, the answer of why is basically trial and error. I worked it out with a lot, do it using various different images and stuff, and that's what's going to tend to look good when we don't when we don't 2Dify. Okay, so remember this was I was going to make things black if they used a parameter, right? This guy's going to use some parameters later on. Let's just go ahead and copy this 2Dify thing. We use that as a choice on which of these thickeners we use. So normally we use the one where we don't 2Dify, but we might use this if we do 2Dify. And so we get that. This is, oops, I gotta say this is 9 or 10 start, sorry. So what we're gonna do is, forgive me for not doing that before the start, but I wanna bring these guys, these parameters up here, specifically, here's where it's kind of a decision thing. If you were making this for other people, if a lot of other people are using it, you don't want to confuse them with a whole bunch of stupid parameters, so they might not use like influence scale. I think the thing you are definitely use is particle separation. We kind of can't calculate what the best particle separation is to do this, to make it look nice. So I definitely want to make that as a parameter. If I were doing it with TDs that were really super, nuts on all the little parameters, I would make that and stuff. Or if other people are working on similar shots, I might do that. In my case, usually I'm doing this. I'm the only one that's going to be doing this shot or this breaking of a wall or whatever. So I'm going to leave these guys the same. Particle separation, however, that is dependent on the image and dependent on the size of the wall and stuff. And so that's something we do since we're trying to make something we can reuse. That is something we need to put up there. So we're going to actually go up to our guy here, go down to type properties, and we're going to bring in from the nodes inside, specifically our VDB guy. There's VDB. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember Buck Rogers. It was a TV show, but it had a guy, had a little robot called, I don't know, something, but he always made a sound when beady beady beady. So whenever I say VDB, it sounds like beady beady beady. Hey, Buck. You can look that up on your own. Okay, so this is going to be the particle fluid separation thing. Again, I want to get these things names that don't sound random and bizarre. Particle separation, I kind of want to say would be dot size, point size. I don't know. I feel like it's involved with cut points. So we're going to put it there. These choices, and we'll leave it like that. Particle separation, let's just call it particle size. I know, why are we stressing about this? And again, it's because you're going to come back years from now and using this again, and you want to have it make sense. So I'm going to call it particle size. It's recomputing now, so boom. We're going to leave the particle size there. That's a good default and so forth. So now we're into here. So now we've gotten all the way down to here. So what is the magic to finally make this? We've all been so patient with you, Jeff. And the answer is, now we're going to start mixing some VDBs. So I'm going to give you some space. You can see what's going on here. This is going to get tiny. Remember our original wall, right? Okay. I want to do something. I want to make a VDB from that wall. Okay. So let's go ahead and do another VDB, but this time I'm going to do from polygons. Okay. This is why we're going the VDB route instead of some other route. This is again going to be black because it's going to have stuff in it, but this is VDB from polygons. Now, what kind of stuff do we need to have in here? First place, the voxel size. You can probably pretty much guess I want it to be the same thing as this. So I'm just going to copy instead of bubbling up or blah, blah, blah. I'm going to copy and paste the same reference there to particle separation. Everything else I'm going to leave pretty much the same. So although you kind of can't see here, that makes another volume, a VDB, another sparse volume that is the same particle density as this, although not thinner. Okay. So now for the big magic, and the reason we all came to class today, which is we want to combine these guys. We want to do it a VDB combine. And there's going to be two of these. One of them is going to be eventually to make the mortar. I'm going to put it over here. And one of them is going to be the one to make the stone. And we aren't going to be done once we do this. It's a little more complex than that. But the basic thing I'm going to say is this guy is going to be a VDB combine, and it's going to be an intersection, SDF intersection. Whereas this guy over here is going to be the difference. One is basically where they overlap. The other one is where they're not overlapping. So we're going to take the VDB from particle wall is going to go on the left side of both of these. By the way, let's give this a name, VDB from particle wall. VDB from polygons wall. And the other thing I'm going to do, which is, again, just because I've done this a zillion times prepping for this little tutorial, is it tends to look better if you scale the entire wall in a little bit. In other words, scale it in a little overall. The other reason, by the way, we have these names, because you guys are going to have these files at the end, and it'll be nice for you to go through and go, oh, that's what this guy does, that's what this guy does. Because you're going to sit through this and hear me yap again after you've heard it once. You're basically going to use this however you see fit, and you want to be able to adjust it and change it. So making a wall slightly, ever so slightly smaller, and then VDBing from that. Oops, sorry, we don't want to do it to the edge points. Speaking of which, I just want to make sure we didn't put a group up there. Okay, so we made the wall slightly smaller, made a VDB from that. Now, what are we doing with our combination things, and what dark magic happens now? And the answer is, remember this guy? Of course you do. He's our, somewhat hard to see, but he's our thick, where our, what I'm going to call mortar is. Okay, so I want to intersect that with our VDB of the wall itself, right? So I'm going to go inside here, and you're going to have some choices here. And the choice I care about, and again, there's probably better ways to do this, maybe all sorts of ways to do it, but I'm literally going to leave everything alone except for just that guy, just the intersection. And the reason we're going to do that, is because now that gives us, as you can see, a little bit bigger than the wall. So it goes out just a little bit. But thickness of the wall where our mortar is. And at this point, you can kind of guess that over here, I'm going to do a similar trick, but we're going to take the SDF difference. Big long pause, then it does this. Now, we're going to take these guys and make polygons out of them. It's hard to see right now because you're not, it's hard to look at volumes. But what we're going to do is we're going to make geometry from those. And before we do that, we're going to do one other thing. So I'll show you what happens if we just do it directly. What you probably want to do right now is do a convert VDB, because you're all anxious to see the excitement, right? And this is I'm going to say convert VDB for mortar. Mortar is my general term for the stuff in between the stones. I don't know if that's the correct term. I don't work in rocks. I just make things that look like rocks. Okay, so we're going to convert it, and this time we're going to convert it to polygons. Now there's going to be, you're going to wonder why we don't do polygon soup, and I'll talk about that later. Polygons, there's this adaptivity thing, and that adaptivity thing is kind of a useful parameter, and it's one of those things going to bubble up. It tends to look good. It's basically saying how much extra, well, first here, we've got our nifty polygons from our thing. So we're excited there. Sorry, I kind of buried the lead there. Yay! Okay, now that we've gotten through that excitement, we don't really need super high polygons, remember, especially this. This is the mortar. This is going to get chopped up into tiny little bits later. We want it to be a little bit lean, a little bit sparse, a little bit not so crazy. So that's what adaptivity is useful for. And again, it's going to vary for the user, so we're definitely going to make it a parameter. But see how it does? It at least gets those big parts there. Now, if we do it too much, we start losing detail and so forth. We might not want to do that. So that right there is going to be a parameter. We're going to do, let me do it on the other side now for the other guy. Oh, actually, let's bubble this up right now. Sorry. Let's bubble up the adaptivity. I'm again going down to type properties, which unfortunately you can't see. Going to here, and inside of our, by the way, here's another reason it's exciting to use the name, interesting to use the names, is so that way you see these things here, so you know what they mean. But we call this, Okay, sorry, there's a really cool thing coming up, but you're gonna have to wait for the next lesson for it. I just want to bubble up the part where we convert the VDBs to the mortar, this guy, this adaptivity, and I'm gonna put it in a section we're gonna call, well, I'm just gonna put it over there for now. So in the next section, we're gonna put this into an appropriate spot, and we're gonna do it for the stones. And then there's a couple little massagings we're gonna do, and the reason we're gonna do those is for what'll look better with the stones versus the rocks. Okay, a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Come back for the next lesson. We'll do it then.